He thought firing me was the end of my story. He was wrong. It was the moment everything finally came into focus. My name is Morgan. I'm an American woman, an IT systems engineer, and this is the story of how one careless order, spoken with arrogance and confidence, became the beginning of a man's downfall. Not because I broke the rules, but because I followed them exactly as I was told. At 29, I believed I'd made it. I worked at Ravenfall Systems, a sleek technology firm tucked into downtown Chicago, all glass walls, motivational slogans, and promises about innovation and teamwork. 3 years earlier, when they recruited me, they said they valued people who understood systems deeply, people who could see problems before they exploded. I took that seriously. Too seriously, as it turned out. Over time, I became the one everyone quietly relied on. I didn't have the loudest voice or the flashiest title, but I had something far more dangerous in a tech company. I knew how everything actually worked. I was the only systems engineer with full administrative control over our real-time integration platform, the system that connected us to our biggest client, a financial firm whose live trading product was worth millions per year. I didn't chase that responsibility. It landed on me after the previous admin caused a catastrophic outage during a routine update. After that mess, the COO looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Morgan, you're the only one I trust with this system." I never let her down. Not once. Then my new boss arrived. His name was Mark Caldwell, and he walked into our department like he already owned it. Mid-40s, expensive suits, the kind of smile that never reached his eyes. He talked endlessly about high-performance culture and streamlining authority, which quickly translated into micromanagement and public humiliation. He didn't like questions. He liked obedience. From the start, he hated that I reported directly to senior leadership for anything related to our largest client. To him, that wasn't trust. It was a threat. The emails started first. Passive, polite on the surface, sharp underneath. All decisions should flow through proper channels. The proper channel was him, of course. Then came the meetings, where he'd interrupt, dismiss concerns, and smirk when deadlines became impossible. 2 senior engineers pushed back. Both were gone within 3 months. Afterward, Mark would shrug and say, "Not everyone can handle pressure." I learned to document everything. Dates. Warnings. Responses. Silence. The week of the launch, the tension was unbearable. Our client was releasing a new trading platform scheduled for Friday morning. I sent Mark a risk assessment outlining 3 dependencies that needed monitoring and suggested having a backup admin on standby. His response came quickly. "Stop overthinking. The system's stable. Focus on your job." I forwarded the assessment to leadership and kept monitoring quietly. Thursday morning, I arrived early, coffee in hand, ready to run final checks. The dashboards were perfect. Green across the board. Still, the office felt wrong. Too quiet. People avoided my eyes. At 9:20 a.m., Mark's office door opened. He walked toward me with HR behind him. He didn't sit. He didn't lower his voice. "Shut down your workstation," he said. Effective immediately. I froze. Shutting down didn't just log me out. It would sever the live connection to the client's system. A system that took hours to reinitialize. I explained that calmly. He cut me off. "I didn't ask for your opinion. This is a direct order." I asked for the order in writing. He refused. I asked him to confirm that he understood the consequences. He raised his voice. Security appeared near the elevators. I saw what was happening. He wanted a crisis. He wanted me gone before the launch. Maybe he thought someone else could fix it. Maybe he didn't care. So I did what engineers are trained to do. I documented. I logged the time. I typed his exact words into the audit system. Then, with my hand steady and my heart pounding, I executed the shutdown. The screens went dark. The live feed terminated. 90 minutes before launch. Good, Mark said. Now pack your things. You're terminated. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I boxed up my desk and walked out with my dignity intact. As the elevator doors closed, I knew exactly what would happen next. He thought he'd won. He had no idea he'd just handed me the most powerful leverage of his career. I didn't go home. I crossed the street to a small cafe with a perfect view of the building. I ordered coffee, opened my laptop, and waited. At lunchtime, the panic began. Phones rang. People ran. Executives arrived. Then my phone lit up. Messages. Missed calls. Finally, leadership called directly, asking me to come back and fix it. I said no. I'd been terminated. I had no authorization. The audit logs would explain everything. And that was when the real story began. I stayed in that cafe longer than I expected, not because I enjoyed watching the chaos unfold, but because I understood exactly how fragile everything inside that glass building really was. Systems don't fail loudly at first. They fail quietly, then all at once. By the time Ravenfall Systems realized the live feed was dead, the damage was already spreading outward: client calls, legal alerts, executives being pulled out of meetings like students caught cheating on an exam. At 11:18 a.m., my phone finally rang with a number I recognized. The COO. Her voice was calm, but the strain underneath it was unmistakable. "Morgan, where are you?" "Across the street," I said. "But I can't help." "What do you mean you can't help?" "I was terminated," I replied evenly. "By Mark. He ordered me to shut down my workstation at 9:24 a.m. I warned him it would sever the live connection. It's all in the audit logs." Silence. Then muffled voices in the background. Someone swore under their breath. She asked me to stay put. From my seat, I watched the front doors of the building swing open again and again. Senior leadership arrived. Then the client's legal team. Then their CEO. The confidence Mark wore that morning was gone by noon. I could see him through the windows being escorted, not leading, not commanding, but shrinking as he moved toward the executive conference room. When the COO called back, her voice had changed. "We need you inside. Now." "I'm happy to return as a consultant," I said. "But I won't touch a system without written authorization." "Done," she said immediately. Security barely met my eyes as I re-entered the building I'd been escorted out of hours earlier. Inside the conference room, the atmosphere was radioactive. Papers everywhere. Phones buzzing non-stop. The client's CEO sat rigid, his patience clearly exhausted. Mark was there too, pale, jaw clenched, still trying to look authoritative in a room that had already passed judgment. They asked me to explain what happened. So I did. Calmly. Methodically. I walked them through the timeline, the warnings, the refusal to document, the direct order, the shutdown. I projected the audit logs onto the screen. Time-stamped. Immutable. Undeniable. When Mark tried to interrupt, the client's CEO shut him down with a single raised hand. "So," the client said, staring directly at Mark, "you ordered the only person who understood this system to disconnect it 90 minutes before launch." Mark opened his mouth. Closed it. Tried again. I didn't understand the technical impact. The room went silent. "You're the department head," the COO said, her voice dangerously calm. "If you don't understand the system, why are you making unilateral decisions about it?" That was the moment it ended for him, even if it took a few more hours to become official. They reinstated my access. I restored the connection in just over 2 hours. Not because I rushed, but because I did it right. By late afternoon, the client's system was back online. The crisis didn't disappear, but it stabilized. And with stability came questions. While legal teams worked damage control, I quietly did what I'd always done best. I documented everything. Emails Mark had ignored. Messages where he overrode security protocols. Requests he shut down because they didn't align with his vision. Patterns emerged. Ugly ones. This wasn't just arrogance. It was negligence. And worse, intent. By Monday morning, Mark was officially terminated. By Tuesday, the investigation expanded. By Wednesday, federal agents were involved. They didn't come because of me. They came because once someone starts pulling on a loose thread, everything unravels. They found shell vendors. Hidden access points. Data transfers that shouldn't have existed. Plans to jump ship and take proprietary information with him. The man who preached high performance had been hollowing the company out from the inside. I was offered my job back. I declined. Instead, I negotiated something better. Authority without politics. Safeguards that couldn't be overridden by ego. A role that existed specifically to prevent people like Mark from ever holding unchecked power again. The board approved it unanimously. Weeks later, the office felt different. Lighter. People spoke up again. Engineers laughed in meetings. Systems ran smoothly because they were respected, not bullied. Mark's name became something people lowered their voices to mention, like a cautionary tale you didn't need to repeat too often. One evening, as I shut down my workstation, properly this time, I looked out over the city lights and thought about how close everything had come to collapse. Mark thought authority meant control. He thought firing me erased the risk. What he never understood was that real power in a technical world doesn't come from titles or threats. It comes from knowledge, trust, and the discipline to document everything. He gave an order. I followed it. And that made all the difference. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever dealt with a toxic boss, someone who confused intimidation with leadership, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that sometimes the most powerful move is simply doing exactly what you're told, and letting the truth do the rest.